taste. Busting makes me feel good.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Blockbusting, the podcast where we love to hate movies. I'm your host, Jay Light. Joining me back at the Elon in LA studios, my guest today, Jenna Martin.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Happy to have you, Jenna. I'm so excited to have you. You're opening a lot of first time busting down some doors here on Blockbusting.
Oh my gosh.
For the first in-person episode of 2022. That's what year it is.
Yeah.
My brain. Whoa. My brain. Bad. First in-person episode of 2022. We have first silent film ever to talk about on the podcast today.
Right.
And the first person who is writing, the first guest at least, who's writing on a rebooted Nickelodeon show. We're in the rebooted Nickelodeon fam.
That's a very specific first, but yeah.
I didn't think about it until just now because I wrote on the Legends of the Hidden Temple reboot.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
So that was fun. And now you're doing, you've got the Fairly Odd Parents reboot coming out in March.
Mm-hmm. On Paramount Plus.
Very exciting. You're big Fairly Odd Parents fan grown up?
Yes, I loved it. I loved how absurd it was, and we really tried to capture that in the reboot. So
Nice.
yeah, I hope people listening watch it.
Y'all should get Paramount Plus. You can watch Jackass now, and then you can go watch Fairly Odd Parents later.
And there's your day.
Wanda or Cosmo?
Oh my gosh.
It's a tough question, I know.
It's a real. It hit me like a Sophie's Choice. I think I have more love for Wanda because she was kind of a perfect mom in some ways. Even though she was also kind of dumb, she loved Timmy and she was so sweet and so protective. But God damn it, Cosmo made me laugh.
That's kind of the way I feel too. I think Cosmo is such a goofball, so silly and bumbling, and you can't help but laugh at him. And I'm Camp Cosmo all day.
Fair enough. Yeah, he's funnier, but I just have this affection for Wanda.
How could you not?
Yeah,
so lovable.
She puts up with so much shit, and they're mean to her.
Yeah, you know who else put up with a lot of shit?
Mm-hmm.
Transition. The blind flower girl in City Lights. Oh man, that's the movie we're talking about today, everybody. Charlie Chaplin's City Lights. A movie that I had never seen. I'd never seen any Charlie Chaplin until you brought up that you didn't like. You didn't like this or Modern Times, which are two of his, the ones that everybody knows. Besides that, and The Great Dictator.
Hated them both. I haven't seen Great Dictator. I picked City Lights over Modern Times. I do think Modern Times is more trenchant, a word I've never used confidently. I think that's correct. And I think there are some bits in Modern Times that are pretty well done. I think there's a scene where he sings a song, but he doesn't use it's in gibberish. I think it's pretty clever. So Modern Times, I'll give some points. City Lights, I rewatching it, I didn't laugh once.
City Lights is it's described on Wikipedia as a 1931 silent American romantic comedy. And I laughed watching it, but romantic comedy is absolutely not what I would use to describe this movie. And I don't know why everybody seems to describe it as that. It is listed on AFI's Best American Films Ever Made list as number 11. It has been in the National Film Registry for years. A lot of people say it's his masterpiece, Charlie Chaplin's masterpiece, that is. And it has been listed as the top romantic comedy film by AFI also, beating out a lot of other movies, including Annie Hall, When Harry Met Sally, The Philadelphia Story, Sleepless in Seattle, all these classics. I don't understand how this movie beats any of those in the romantic comedy department.
Well, that list is also, I mean, yeah, I completely agree. I think it is, I sort of think the genre is like a melodrama with goofy moments. But
Yes.
like, I think of a romantic comedy as something that derives comedy from the dynamic between a man and a woman throughout history, but like any two love interests. And it's like the dynamic between the tramp and the blind girl isn't funny. It's very just she's
Yeah. It's not.
no, it's very boring and melodramatic and
They are.
sappy.
It's really sappy. They're really
Yeah.
not in the movie together for a whole lot of the running time. I mean, the movie is a pretty breezy 90 minutes. And most of that is the tramp hanging out with the alcoholic millionaire who only remembers him when he is blackout drunk, apparently, which is a great. I liked that trait. I appreciated that. But it's also, it's mostly the tramp trying to get money to pay this blind woman to go get surgery in Vienna to get her eyes fixed.
I mean, like, it's like if this is a romantic comedy, then like Airplane is a romantic comedy because like he gets on the plane to get his girlfriend back, but it's not. It like love serves as the reason he does funny things. But it could have been anything else. It's mostly just it gives him a reason to go and pick up shit off the street
Yeah.
and get the shit beat out of him
Yeah.
and all this other stuff. But it's not really part of the comedy.
No, not by any means. I think it's so silly that they are calling this a rom-com. Like, did you want to watch it because it had all of these accolades as a rom-com? I know that rom-coms, especially some of the other ones on the list, like I said, movies I love. I saw When Harry Met Sally for the first time earlier this year. Banger of a movie. Absolutely banger of a movie. What drew you to City Lights for the first time?
I mean, like I went through a phase where I thought I would really be smart about films if I watched all the films on the AFI list. Like I thought that's the ticket to being able to say I'm smart about movies. And through this, I learned the AFI list is bullshit. I mean,
Shots fired.
yes, come at me, people who care about film.
Who's the head of AFI right now? Quentin? Is Quentin Tarantino still the head of AFI? You come for us, Quentin. I dare you.
But also, I'm a fan of your movies. If you're listening, one reason I chose City Lights and I was happy to do it is it doesn't have anyone in it I'm ever going to want to work with. Like, there's a lot of movies I hate, but it's like, ooh, but like, what if I want them to be in something I wrote? I don't want this on record.
Yeah, the closest you're going to have now is if Robert Downey Jr. listens to this episode and doesn't like that you slandered the person he was nominated for an Oscar for portraying. And that's about
I will cross that bridge
when you come to it. So you watched this movie. You were trying to get through the AFI list. And how did you feel watching it for the first time? When did you know that it just was not for you?
I don't exactly remember when exactly I watched it. I was just on my laptop in my apartment alone. Just trying to paint the saddest scene possible. Just empty liquor bottles on the floor. A
pile of cigarettes, not even in an ashtray, just spilling out of a coffee mug.
Just a cat just pawing me.
Empty DVD cases strewn about.
Yes. I just pick up the bottle and throw it at like a poster of the AFI.
And you hope the shard from the bottle hits the play button so you don't have to get up and hit the DVD.
So, point was, I was really in the mood for a laugh, and this movie didn't provide it. I remember being mostly just really frustrated with him and not finding him cute or appealing at all. Like, I thought he was kind of creepy looking, and that's not really. I'm not, I don't feel like I'm taking shots at his appearance because, like, he was actually, like, you see photos of him, he was actually, like, a handsome man, but he chooses to make these weird faces. Like, I know this isn't a visual medium, but like when he's all like, like
Oh yeah,
that
he's got
face.
the big grin, that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
I'm for the listeners, I'm preening. In a Chaplin-esque fashion.
I've never used the word preening before, and now I understand the perfect meaning for preening.
Well, before I don't know either. That's another word. Where
I
I'm
think
like,
that
am I using
works.
this right?
You're preening very trenchantly over there, Jenna.
Thank you. What's the problem?
I think, yeah, I never, like I said before, I'd never watched any Chaplin, and I knew, obviously, of course, when you're working in silent film, there's a lot you have to say with your face and your body, your mannerisms, all that stuff, kind of to some degree. I mean, Buster Keaton built his whole career off of being great stone face, right? And being somebody who didn't react to any of this stuff. So Chaplin is doing the total opposite. But it is very weird to see a man who's like walking around like a duck the entire time and never stopping. And I don't understand why.
Why? Why does he do anything? It's like sometimes Chaplin does make a scenario where it's like, okay, yeah, that would be tough.
Mm-hmm.
Even if that's like, okay, like he swallows the whistle and now he can't stop whistling. It's like, okay, that wouldn't happen, but okay, that's tough.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know what to do. Fortunately, that never comes up. But
No, yeah, I don't know. I wrote down when that happened, I mean, it's hard enough that he has to have a whistle in his mouth and in his stomach, but then he's going to have to shit that whistle out later. And can you imagine how tough that's going to be?
Oh my God, he's going to really need like a really adorable brain. I want a scene where like, because like he and the blind girl just have the most boring scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And like, wait till she finds out what a fuck up he is.
Yeah. This is a man who, by the time he meets this blind girl selling flowers, he has already woken up in the arms of a statue in the middle of some sort of an unveiling ceremony. I will say I did laugh when he tipped his hat to the statue, like he was the statue was going to be mad that he sat on his face, which that's just a funny thing to do. But like that situation doesn't make any sense. How is somebody going to wake up under a covered statue that they stumbled onto and got to the highest height of somehow? How are you going to do that?
I mean, and it's just like he doesn't think things through. And it's also like, doesn't he stop while he's climbing down and like ties his shoes? Like my notes are mostly, oh my God, just stop. Just fucking stop. I've lost sympathy for you because you're creating problems for yourself. These people want you to get down the statue. Just do it. Like I end up sympathizing, like the scene where he's at like a fancy dinner club and he has a lit cigar and he just tosses it and it lands on a chair and this like fancy lady sits and then she's like jumps up because like her ass is on fire. And it's like it's kind of funny, but I'm also just like, what was he doing throwing a lit cigar? Like I'm on the side of the rich lady. Like I know I'm not supposed to be. Like I'm supposed to be like, oh, that's snobby bitch. Like just let the man throw his cigars where he wants.
Wherever he wants. Why? Why are you against this poor man who doesn't have any decorum?
And no sense of space.
I do think, yeah, this was something that took me out for sure, which is the Tramp as a character is somehow he's smart enough to know when to intervene in a situation that's going wrong, right? Like he has a big set piece at the early part of the movie after he meets the blind girl is he's hanging out at a canal of some kind, and the millionaire who's wasted tries to kill himself. And they spend a solid, 5 to 7 minutes of him trying to save this millionaire from drowning, and then Charlie Chaplin almost drowning, and this goes on for a while. He intervenes. He's smart enough to intervene as a character to do that. But then he's not smart enough to realize that he's not eating spaghetti at a supper club and that he's eating a streamer instead.
Drove me fucking. I'm sorry. Have you ever, if you hold up a streamer and hold up a streamer of spaghetti, they are distinct objects.
Yes.
And I guess it's supposed to be like, oh, he's never had spaghetti, but they're different.
How do you never have spaghetti?
Like I've never had escargot, but I'm not gonna confuse it with like a shoe or something.
Right.
Yeah, it's like that just drove me crazy.
It drove me a little crazy too. As funny as it is to see a guy continuing to do a super dumb bit, which is eating a streamer.
Yeah.
It's not believable. Like
No.
the absurdity of it is outweighed by the believability of whether or not this character is smart enough to figure out that he's not eating spaghetti anymore.
Yes. He's not playing to the top of his intelligence, to
Mhm.
use an annoying improv term.
Yes.
Which you don't always have to do. I mean, like, Homer on this, I love The Simpsons, and like Homer sometimes does stuff that's just unbelievably stupid
Mhm.
that goes against everything we know about him. But like, it's like he can drive, he can do. Oh well, another moment when he's taking the blind girl home in his new car, and he like opens the door and lets her in, and then he climbs behind her to get into the driver's seat. It's like, you've seen people get into cars.
Yeah.
You stupid fuck.
He's a for somebody who's clearly like street smart as a
Yes.
character, he's a big old dum-dum.
Yeah.
And
And, yeah.
it does take me out of being able to enjoy the story of this movie, which is still, like we've said, pretty loose.
Hmm.
It's a pretty loose. If we're saying this is a rom-com, there's almost no rom. It's mostly com, and the
Mhm.
com, pretty wacky stuff. Pretty wacky, unbelievable stuff. I don't buy that some of this stuff that he is going through as a character is going to be the way he would actually behave.
Yeah, it's like maybe I haven't seen enough, but like people talk about like, oh, it's the greatest character ever created for the film, and it's like I can't get a handle on what his deal is because, like you said, he's supposed to be street smart, and he's supposed to be smarter. You know, it's supposed to be kind of like there are good like or interesting like conflict movies during the Depression,
Sure.
like It Happened One Night, which it's a movie I also have problems with, but it's a more interesting dynamic between this like really rich girl who's like spoiled and doesn't know how to do anything, and this like scrappy poor guy.
Okay.
Or this other movie, My Man Godfrey, which is about this like very smart, like savvy butler and this like vulgar, crazy, dumb, rich family.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it seems like it's kind of going for that, but then the tramp just does such stupid stuff. I'm not really sympathizing anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of sad. Like when those kids at the end are like shooting spitballs at him, I'm like, is this funny? It's
Oh,
kids
yeah.
harassing a homeless guy. This is unacceptable.
They're mean to him from the jump too. They rip his gloves apart.
What makes them so great?
What makes these kids so
These
great?
newsies.
They got a job. That's what makes them great. This movie is all about capitalism.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think that like there's as silly of like some of the really overtly super silly moments that are not directly involved with a decision that the tramp makes.
Yes.
I really liked. I think that but that's the thing that's like at that point I'm looking at what Chaplin is doing as a director instead of as an actor. Like I think as an actor, his character, yeah, sure, I guess it's one of the great film characters, right? Because we have to say that because canonically he's one of the earliest people to create like a lasting, indelible character.
Sure.
Right? We have to say that.
We have
to say that. But the thing is, there are moments like where he is slurping up spaghetti and a slide whistle plays. Great comedy. Can't argue with that. I can't argue with the power of a slide whistle in comedy. As much as I want to watch this movie and be like, there's no way this is the greatest comedy. And I want to agree with you on like some of the badness. I watch that and I'm like, oh, but the slide whistle though. Or like when he claps because the guy is burping out bubbles and then he tries to catch one of the bubbles. It's like,
I miss that.
Yeah,
That's lovely.
it's
I miss that.
fun.
I think I was just kind of grossed out by that scene. I found that unpleasant to watch a man foaming. I don't know.
That's true. Yeah, I also do think that like there's no way this is another believability problem, right?
Yeah.
There's no way that a person is going to take a bite of a sandwich that has soap in it.
I disagree.
Have you eaten soap before?
No, I have not. And okay, someone I know, I don't want to name them.
This podcast just took a wacky turn.
I won't name them because he or she It's a he for the sake of, but
Okay.
I was walking with him, and we were in New York, and someone was handing out like samples on a tray, and they were kind of like pastel colored, rectangular rectangles, and they kind of looked
Sure.
like candy.
Okay.
And so we both like, because I take samples everywhere. I took a sample, he took a sample, and looking at it closely, I was like, I thought this was candy, but I think it's actually soap. And I heard the guy I was with say, learning that the hard way. And then I looked over
Ha.
and there was a cartoon bite mark on the soap. So that bit was okay.
I can see why you might not have liked that, but you probably just had flashbacks to your friend eating soap.
Yes. I at least bought that more than I bought like him mistaking like a bald head for, I guess that's, I don't know.
I don't know what that is.
I don't
Is
know
that supposed to
fancy
be like
depression food.
oh God.
Like brie or
There's a
not brie.
term for it. It's there's the like the Jello salad dessert
Yes,
things.
that's what it's supposed to be.
There's a I think it's called an aspic, where it's like a meat jelly thing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I have no idea what that is.
Or maybe it's like a pate.
That joke doesn't stand the test of time.
No, we do not eat, and unfortunately for Charlie Chaplin, there's no way he could know this. We do not continue to eat big piles of bald pate.
That I guess has to be, because even that, like, I've seen pate, I think, and like I've never thought, is that a bald man's head or is that pate? Only one way to find out.
Yeah.
Slice, slice, slice.
I've never thought that. I appreciated that they didn't have a knife in that scene and that he just tried to scrape it up. But even still, like, that's going to hurt this bald man.
Yeah, I'm on his side.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I really, really wish had happened in this movie was that there was more of a justification for why the blind girl is even in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think that she is thrown in order to have a romantic plot line, which I'm sure the crowds of the era probably really wanted to see.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels like she's such a peripheral character to the main action of the story that it just feels like she's underused and totally underused as a character to me.
Well, Charlie Chaplin hated her.
Really? In real life?
Yeah, she got fired like midway through production.
Oh my God.
Well, Charlie Chaplin was he was dictatorial on set. Like
Some could even say the great dictatorial on set.
Yes, I walked right into that one.
You Charlie Chaplin walked into that one like it was a rake in the middle of a zoo.
And then I tipped my cap to it. And I'm like, my apologies.
My apologies,
Mr.
Mr. Rake. Excuse me. I'm gonna shuffle over here with my crow's feet
again, because I'm just a fucking idiot.
I'm going to pigeon-toed walk over this way up some stairs and tumble into a vat of foam.
And then show up late for work, even though the foreman was very clear.
Yes.
Come back on time. That drove me. The minute the foreman said, "Now be back on time," I was like, how's he going to be late? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't even give a good explanation. He's just busy holding yarn for the blind girl.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the instructions were clear, dude. Just come back to work on time.
There was a part when the pulling the yarn part happened, I got so confused because I had admittedly I did check out of this movie a little bit, which is a sign of I think of that it's not a good movie in my mind, at least, that I didn't appreciate it. But I checked out and I came and I like checked back in and he was still like she was pulling yarn out of his vest. I was like, is it the streamer that he ate earlier? Like, did this just become some weird body horror thing that I didn't know about? Did I miss something? And then I rewound and I was like, oh no, it's just yarn that he's holding on to for her.
And he can't just stop and say, "Oh, hang on a second, honey. That's my vest. Here's your yarn." No, he can't do that.
Oh man. Okay, but so he hated his co-star.
Yeah, he was like, the movie was like a really troubled production. And like I guess she showed up late to set. Even though we're supposed to love the tramp for
showing up late.
I mean, a little hypocrisy there. But anyway, he just got fed up with her and fired her and hired another actress, but then he didn't like her, so he brought back the first gal and had to like reshoot a bunch of scenes. And I read, I don't know if I don't know if this is true, but like someone once asked her, like, was there any romance between the two of you on set? And she said, no, I was 20 and he liked them younger. Yes.
Ooh, boy. Charlie.
Yeah. It's another, it's like terrible people can make great art, but like it's another thing I'm kind of watching. I'm a little in the back of my head. Like he really liked teenage girls.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
Now, good that he's dead. So
No.
definitely no one's gonna question us on this one. Man, I mean, I could kind of see why he would write if he, especially if he doesn't like working with the person, why
Yeah.
he would write her to have such a diminished role. But like, if you're an artist, you gotta put your personal shit aside.
Yeah, and also I think maybe there wasn't like I was thinking who would be fun in that part if it were made today. And it's like I can think of several female comedians who'd be great. And maybe there just wasn't that sense of they were in I mean, they probably just didn't have a sense of like, oh yeah, let's bring in like a funny woman for this. It was just like,
Mhm.
okay, let's just pick like I read somewhere that Chaplin one time just walked into a cafe and saw a pretty girl and just said, okay, you're gonna be in my movie.
Yeah, I could see him doing that.
Yeah.
I feel like, well, especially given the styling of the time and seeing in those group shots at the scenes like at the party and the dance club where you see everybody dressed the exact same with the exact same hairstyle, men and women, right? And almost the exact same outfit, just color swapped.
Yeah.
You could see how anybody who fit the bill to any degree would just be like, "All right, you're fresh. Get in here.
Yes.
Come be churned into the Hollywood machine."
And it was like during the Depression, right? So I remember hearing on like the Paramount tour that like they used to just they would pay extras with a bowl of soup. So there's a lot of people thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna have some soup after I act appalled at this tramp."
I can't wait to eat some stew for giving this guy a whistle that he swallows.
Yeah.
I'm gonna eat for 2 days off this stew. I tell ya.
That was very odd back then.
Very strange. You know what? And that explains why I got paid in stew for my first ever PA job that I had out
really?
here. Very old Hollywood. Very old
Yeah,
Hollywood.
My agents could only get me soup minimum on my last job.
Must really suck to give them 10% of your soup, though.
Yeah, so it was really awkward. I had to do like, "Here comes the airplane."
So there's a lot of stuff that happens that we also haven't talked about, which is he's trying to make money for this blind woman so she can go get her operation. He goes and he has this whole scene at a boxing gym, which would be a boxing match. A lot of it takes place in this locker room. The fucking locker room.
But yeah, not to interrupt you, yeah.
But it's a very weird sequence in the locker room. He gets brought in by somebody who's like, "Hey, I want to read. I've got this job for you." And then he reads a telegram, and in the telegram, they're like, "Uh oh, you got to run. The cops are looking out for you." Which I want to know what happens to that guy in that movie. I want to see that.
That's an interesting guy.
Way
yeah.
more interesting story than what's going on here with Charlie Chaplin and this blind woman who he hates secretly. Way more interesting.
Is he a gangster? Is he a murderer? Yeah, we don't know. But anyway, instead we're gonna just watch the tramp sit and watch people. I'm sorry, I found that scene excruciating.
Yeah, because he just watches somebody do all these like good luck charms and then get knocked out and undo good luck charms, which is another like funny thing to do and from a comedy standpoint. But also, why are you even still there? Why are you still there if you know this guy's not going to compete in a way that will be beneficial to both of y'all? Why don't you just both throw the fight?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you sticking around? Do you want to get the shit beaten out of you that bad? Do you want to get the sheet bitten out of you that bad?
They already established you can leave. Like the guy has the cops on him, like he just leaves.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I feel like it would have been an easy fix if someone had said like, okay, if you leave now, you have to pay a penalty. Then he's like, okay, I don't have any money, so I guess I gotta fight.
Yeah.
Or if there was just a moment, like I love delusional characters. Like if there was some moment where like I don't know, a fantasy sequence or something where we saw that he thinks he could do it. But otherwise, it's like he's just looking around, seeing people get the shit beat out of them, and then like I know the scene's beautifully choreographed, but then he gets the the shit beat out of him.
hmm
I nailed that.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
You can preen now after you nailed that one. There you go.
Yeah.
Perfect preen for the people who are audio only on this one.
You're really missing out. Yeah.
I think that you just kind of hit the nail on the head, which is if the tramp had been more of a delusional character instead of somebody who we can't tell how intelligent they really are, if their intelligence is all over the map like it is for him as it stands, I feel like I would have appreciated this movie a little bit more, because I feel like you could really lean into some of the more absurd comedy elements instead of playing it all over the place the way that the tramp is played in this.
Yeah, and maybe that's kind of what he's going for, kind of like a Don. Is it Quixote?
Yeah.
I've heard some people say Don Quixote, but
No,
anyway.
it's Don Quixote.
It's Don. Someone, I don't know. I heard some. Anyway.
Look, I've seen Man of La Mancha at least once.
Oh my
okay.
gosh. I'm a musical theater geek, and I haven't.
Oh,
so
really?
Huge one.
It's a fun one.
Okay, I'll check it out.
I saw that at the Bass Performance Hall in Fort Worth back when I was a high school lad, also involved in musical theater.
Okay. Wow.
Think
This is a whole other discussion.
A whole other lifetime. Bonus episode. It's me reviewing Lou Diamond Phillips's performance as Don Quixote in Man of La Mancha.
Because this is a legit production.
Oh yeah, this is a real deal.
Should we switch
They
places?
don't fuck
I'll
around at the
interview
Bass.
about this. Yeah. So, what was your experience watching this?
I do think that old Lou, he really shone like a diamond. He really lived up to his namesake with "Dream the Impossible Dream." It's a great number.
I know so many musicals. I swear that when there is a gap, I'm like a little embarrassed.
Anyway, so he could be anybody else in this movie and be that sort of like Don Quixote, delusional, tilting at windmills kind of a guy. I don't know. I just feel like there's something like this movie could. I mean, I think it could exist now. Like, I know that it could probably, you'd mentioned that there's some comedic actresses who you think would make a good version of this cast now. Who do you, if you did City Lights, like if you, after the success of the Fairly Odd Parents reboot, if Paramount comes to you, like, listen, we got you on City Lights next. We're doing the whole Chaplin canon. No more actors and directors talking to teen girls off set. We are doing it right.
Not on my set, no.
No, not on any set. Hopefully. What are you doing? Who's your cast? Who you bringing in to play all these fine folks?
Off the bat, I think number one, I do Bill Hader as the tramp.
Oh, great cast, great choice.
Cause I think of him as like cause like what I will give Modern Times is that last scene where he's like. That's all conveyed just through facial expressions. Like that's pretty impressive and affecting, the rest of the movie shit. But like, like I think of Bill Hader at the end of Trainwreck when he's looking at Amy Schumer and just like there's so much affection in his expression, and yet also like Bill Hader is very funny, very good at physical comedy, kind of can be zany and sort of convey real sentiment. And then there's a lot of women. There's like I was sort of thinking someone kind of like I'm forgetting her name. Like Twyla on Schitt's Creek.
Oh, geez. I know who you're talking about. I forget that actress' name though. I'm looking it up.
It's something Levy.
It's one of the Levies, definitely. It's come on now. Supporting cast.
Is it Sarah Levy?
It might be. No, Paul Schaefer's here. Hold on. That's not Sarah Levy. It is. It's Sarah Levy. Okay. Yeah. She could be good.
Yeah, and there's this. I was thinking of women like actresses and comedians who sort of have a sort of sweet optimism and are funny. And this other comedian who, do you know Alana Johnston?
No.
She's just this comedian. I think she's brilliant, and she has this like doll. She actually looks like a sort of a silver screen heroine. Like she has this very doll-like face and like blonde curly hair and stuff. But she's just zany.
Okay.
Like she's And like I love that. I just picture the blind girl be funny as someone who just like looks very pretty and sweet and innocent and lovable, and then it just emerges she's crazy in some way.
Oh yeah, that's fun. I like that.
And then I also thought there was a missed opportunity with her grandma.
Oh yeah, she's also barely in the movie. She's so barely in the movie, she literally is not on camera at any time when Charlie Chaplin's on camera. They even
It
talk
fails
about
the
this.
Bechdel test.
Really fails the Bechdel test. Who do you think would be good as a grandma?
I mean, I don't know, so many. I mean, like, I can't. It may take me a second for me to come up with an exact name. Maybe like, um, I don't know, like Margot Martindale. Just
Oh yeah, I love character actress Margot
yes,
Martindale.
any.
She'd be great. Kathy Bates would be good.
Oh, Kathy Bates would be great. Just
Ann Dowd. I would
yes.
love to see Ann Dowd do a good comedic role.
Ann Dowd would be hysterical because
Yeah.
it's like the Marx Brothers, you know, Margaret Dumont was one of the best parts of the Marx Brothers movies, is just this sort of like appalled fancy lady. And it's like you have a potentially funny character right there. But all she does, that scene where she just sits and tries to sell flowers to sell for
Uh-huh.
to like pay for her granddaughter's operation. It's like, is this supposed to be funny? This is the saddest cutaway in the
So
world.
sad.
Like I would have had her like no one's buying her flowers, so she just like bares her breasts or something. Just like I just feel like this whole movie. I feel like none of the characters except kind of the millionaire are as zany as the tramp.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like it doesn't. It's like I think my problem with this. I like movies that just exist in a crazy world
Mhm.
that's pure fun.
Sure.
Or I like movies like one of my favorite examples is School of Rock, where this is a crazy character in a very grounded world where people are reacting in a real way
Yeah.
to this zany person.
Yes.
And I feel like City Lights is kind of neither here nor there.
Yeah, that's the problem I had with it too. I kept thinking back to something I heard in an improv class long ago
Mhm.
about how if you have a scene where one person is acting zany in a grounded world or one person is acting grounded in a really zany world, you can mine a lot of comedy out of that. You can get a lot of great stuff out of that scene.
Mhm.
And City Lights tries to split the difference. And I think from a comedy standpoint, there are certainly some bits that I was like, "Oh, this is nice. I appreciate this."
Yeah.
Right? But I think as a movie, it doesn't really stand on its own 2 feet in the way that it could have.
Yeah. Yeah, like and I mean to compare it with someone else like Buster Keaton, like
Mhm.
Buster Keaton movies to me, I've only seen two. Uh, The General is that?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, The General and Sherlock Jr. And they really kind of. I mean, The General has some problematic stuff with the Civil War, but like as just a movie, like they're just good fun.
Mhm.
Like it's pure silliness.
Yeah. And that's hey, you can't beat
Mhm.
silliness.
Yeah, I love silliness.
I love silliness.
Yes,
I will always go for silliness.
and like there's a lot of like I can enjoy a comedy with substance or an emotionally resonant or real comedy, but it's like I I also just like I remember like when I watching like the Animaniacs as a kid,
Mhm.
and I love because I was terrified of getting in trouble, and I loved that they never got in trouble and they never got hurt. They just did what was funny.
Yeah.
Like that made me feel so safe and happy. Where I watch like these Chaplin movies, and it's like I know he's doing goofy stuff, but I can't relax
Yeah.
because it's like I mean, he goes to jail
He does.
and emerges a broken man.
Yeah, he's hauled off for months and months.
It's
He doesn't come out until
terrifying.
autumn on a title card. It is terrifying. Yeah, this movie, I mean, you can watch it if you want to on HBO Max. That's how I watched it.
Me too, yeah.
I don't think you need to. I'm probably still going to go watch Modern Times after this to see
Sure, yeah.
if I like it any better, but I don't get why I don't get why City Lights is everyone in on the AFI list is like this is the one to go see
Mhm.
it. I'm going to have to ask the AFI graduates that I know what they think of this movie also.
I'm also a little terrified of them right now.
Of the AFI grads?
Yes.
I don't think they're gonna give a shit.
Okay.
I have my my girlfriend is an AFI grad, and she does not like a lot of this things that were on the AFI list. She, like you, thinks a lot of the AFI list is bullshit, if memory serves.
I feel like a lot of it's like what I think the city lights. I mean, a lot of filmmakers and comedians I respect love it and say it was hugely influential and like probably I think it's important, but I don't think it's good. Like I think it's like it's like I once heard someone say about the Beatles that like before the Beatles came along, you kind of just thought music was bad. Which yeah, you listen to music before the Beatles and it's very lame.
Yeah.
So like that's part of the reasons why the Beatles was so explosive because it was just there was nothing like this in so many ways. And so like I can acknowledge that while also saying like, this kind of sucks.
Yeah, like if I can definitely like shake Charlie Chaplin's hand and say thank you for introducing the slide whistle to comedy, that's all you really need. Like to me, that's star on the Walk of Fame worthy. To introduce that as a concept, mazel. But like everything else, all right. Let's see. I gotta watch more of your body of work to see if there's anything that hits that height. But yeah, Jenna, thanks again for introducing me to City Lights.
You're welcome. Or I'm sorry.
Either way, we'll take both. We take both here on this podcast. Where can the listeners find you on social media if they want to also chime in about how they hate Charlie Chaplin movies?
They're welcome to. My Twitter handle is Jenna, Jenna Martin 14. I hate it too, but it's the way it is. And then I'm on Instagram and TikTok at Jenna D as in dog Martin. Yeah, I think that's it for me for socials. And also watch the Fairly Odd Parents reboot.
Yes, watch it. Paramount Plus in March. Get your reminders ready, folks. You can find me at Diet J on Twitter and Instagram, jlightcomedy.com for show dates, both live and still live streamed every now and again. And if you like the podcast, consider supporting on Patreon. You can get access to bonus episodes. You get access to my full film library if you subscribe to the $5 level. And I appreciate it either way. Thanks for listening. Jenna, thank you for being a wonderful guest. This has been Blockbusting. Go see something good for a change.